Now, in these times when we are supposed to be cleaning up our eating habits to live longer, there are plenty of healthy alternatives like brown rice, wholemeal flours, etc., etc. But sugar has always been a problem. Well, now there's a new sugar that's being marketed as a healthy alternative. It's called Logicane and hits the supermarket shelves this week. Now, the sugar's made from crops in far north Queensland and has a low glycemic index, which means it's slower to be absorbed into the bloodstream.
That means that it keeps your blood sugars on a more even keel.
Sounds good. Well, to explain that to us, joining me now is dietitian Julie Gilbert. Hi, Julie.
Hello.
What have they done to this?
Well, they actually haven't planted a new plant.
Right.
What they've done is altered the processing of it. And what they've actually left, the ingredients in it, is very, very similar to what you find in red wine.
Right. Or antioxidants, that sort of thing?
The antioxidants is what it is.
That's interesting. Now, who would benefit from something like this?
Really, those people who are diabetic, who are actually trying to either stabilise their blood sugar levels or even trying to lower it. It's ideal for them.
It's not cheap, though. It's quite expensive. $1.80 for, what, 375 grams?
Unfortunately, it is an expensive product. It's almost double the cost of what you'd find for normal white sugar. And that's certainly going to add up if you're adding a couple of teaspoons of that to your coffee each day.
That's right. Now, tell us, how does it compare to the other sugars? Now, white sugar, say.
White sugar actually goes through two refining processes, and that's actually what they're actually, why it's very small and why you actually find that very tiny grain with that.
It's had all the molasses taken out.
It's had all the molasses actually removed from it.
And so raw sugar has a little bit left in?
Yes, you've actually left that one in, and same with your crystallised sugar as well. And that's actually a more natural product, so it's only gone through one processing.
All right. And then the brown sugar is not what it seems, is it?
No, brown sugar is actually white sugar, so it's refined twice, and then they actually add the molasses back into it to give that lovely colour and flavour that you get with brown sugar.
See, that surprises me because I always thought the darker the sugar, the less refined that it has been because it has the molasses in it. Now, let's talk about sugar substitutes. Now, I must confess I worry about them.
Yeah, unfortunately for a lot of people, we're not actually sure what's in them. They are a chemical base, and the jury is certainly still out as to whether or not we should be including them regularly in our diet. But if we're looking at waistline and trying to reduce that, this is the one that's actually going to have the lower kilojoule value.
Right. Now, that's a bit of a myth, isn't it? That a lot of people think, well, sugar has no fat, so, I could eat a lolly rather than a chip. But it doesn't work that way, does it?
No, unfortunately, if you actually eat too many kilojoules or calories, and if it is coming from sugar, unfortunately our body will store it as fat.
Right. Energy in, energy out, the old thing. Now,
that's right.
Tell us, if we're trying to reduce sugar in our diets, what are some good ways to do it?
Well, one of the things, particularly if you actually like cooking, is to have a look at your recipes and try and reduce the sugar content by about a quarter. So if it calls for 3/4 of a cup, try and reduce it to half a cup.
So you don't really notice that?
No, you won't actually notice the difference. Other little tips, you can also add a fruit puree to it, like apple, for instance, and that also keeps that nice sweetness factor there, but also half the sugar.
Yeah, I've seen some recipes like that. It also makes it nice and moist because it's wet as well. So what's your advice when it comes to choosing your sugar?
Actually realise that there is no difference in the kilojoule or calorie value of any of these sugars that are actually on the market. So 1 teaspoon of it is about 70 kilojoules, or equivalent to about 1 boiled lolly. So the best thing really is to actually realise they're empty calories. They aren't really necessary in our actual diet. So the best advice is to actually reduce it as much as you can.
All right, and if we're looking for a sugar hit, have a banana. Julie, thank you very much for coming in and joining us.
Thanks.